2025 is shaping up to be an incredible year for new roller coasters. We have rides all across the globe that we are looking forward to, and in today's video, we're going to rank up our top 25 most anticipated.
Just a couple of housekeeping things before we start. We are only including roller coasters that have been formally announced by the park, and there are probably some on here that won't actually open in 2025, but so far either the park has insinuated that it will, has lightly announced that it will, but we're not really sure, or we just don't know, it's unclear.
Yeah, so we've done our best, but we have a lot to cover, so we're going to jump right into it. Number 25 is our first roller coaster from Universal's Epic Universe.
I can't even believe that's real.
I know. The fact that this is actually opening this year is going to be crazy. This is Curse of the Werewolf, a Mock Rides family spinning coaster.
I will say, I was really, really hoping they were going to go with an extreme spinner, but I get it, you know.
Gotta satisfy the families. This is going to have a swing launch. It's going to have some very cool thematics. Max speed only 37 miles per hour, but it's going to be a lot of fun. This is in the Dark Universe section of the park, in the village of Darkmoor. I'm really looking forward to it and seeing what they do here to dress this up.
I think in that section of the park, it will be overshadowed by the Dark Ride.
Yes.
But I think that there's probably going to be some really, really cool elements of this ride, like as far as theming and everything. It'll be good.
I think so. I've been very much enjoying all of the videos and photos that have been released from BioReconstruct. If you don't follow them over on Twitter, you gotta go see everything he's been posting from Epic Universe. It's
At the number 24 spot, we have the very long-awaited new addition to Six Flags New England, and that would be Quantum Accelerator.
Yeah, this spot used to be home to a Vekoma giant inverted boomerang called Goliath. It was not loved at all. I hated this ride.
I never rode it, but I'm not sad about it.
They took it out, and that spot has been sitting vacant, and they are filling it with a new Intamin straddle coaster. Max speed 45 miles per hour, about 2,600 feet of track. It will be a good ride. It's going to be family thrill, though.
I hope it's leaning more towards, like, Juvelan and less towards, like, Wavebreaker.
Yeah.
That's my hope for this.
I think it might. This is a fully custom layout, and it looks solid, and I think Six Flags is actually going to theme this up a bit, so it might end up looking actually pretty nice. Next up, we're heading to Lost Island for a very exciting RMC Raptor. Can we believe that Lost Island is getting a new roller coaster?
I am shocked. At least the vibe that I got from them was that they very much value enthusiasts.
Yes.
Because they were their main clientele for their opening year.
Showing their support.
Yeah, and I think they kind of got the gist that, like, enthusiasts really love RMC. And they're like, okay, if we're going to do an RMC, this is the cheapest way to do it, is to get a cloned Raptor model. And I guess this is their hope that this will push more people into the park because it's so crazy looking.
And I think overall, Fire Runner will help flesh out the Lost Island attraction lineup. Give them a really good thrill coaster. It's going in their Fire Realm. It looks beautiful, and it's got 12-car trains. So it should be even whippier in the back.
I wonder how often they'll be able to fill them. I hope that they can.
I hope they can.
I really do. At the number 22 spot, I think this is going to make a lot of Six Flags Great America locals happy. We are getting a massive B&M dive coaster, the Wrath of Rakshasa.
Yeah, this actually looks to be a pretty strong dive coaster. It's replacing Buccaneer Battle, has a beyond vertical drop, 96 degrees, multiple inversions. I'm really looking forward to this thing. I think the only reason why it doesn't place higher is because I am worried about how it's going to ride.
Yeah. I mean, like, Dr. Diabolical, like, we were really excited for, especially because of, like, all the marketing campaigns they were doing. You know, it delivered in a lot of ways, but it also ran not the best. So if it kind of continues with that trend, I expect it'll be similar, but
yeah,
it's going to look fantastic. It's going to be a crowd pleaser. I would imagine the average guest isn't going to be too troubled by a little shake.
Objectively, this is a great addition to Great America's lineup. I love that they're fitting like such a substantial roller coaster in this plot of land. They're being very creative with like how it's going over the pathways, nice mix of elements. So I think this will be a good ride. I think it should, in theory, place relatively high on the dive coaster list. Next, let's head over to Austria for Wiener Prater's Wiener Looping. I'm really looking forward to this. This is a new Mock Rides Big Dipper coaster. I think it's going to be the best ride in the park.
I mean, I didn't love Olympia Looping. Visually, it's cool. It is iconic, but it's just okay. I think it's going to blow Olympia Looping out of the water.
Yeah, and it's not like the stats are anything crazy. 102 feet tall, max speed 50 miles per hour. It does have a beyond vertical first drop, though, which is pretty cool. And multiple inversions. And the track work for this is completely done. So this is going to be an early 2025 opening, which is something to look forward to. Because, again, some of the rides that we're going to talk about on this list, we don't know when they're opening exactly.
But Wiener Loopings we do.
Wiener Looping.
Wiener Looping.
No.
At the number 20 spot, we have Speedboat, which is an awesome looking Gerstlauer family coaster coming to Wallaby, Belgium.
Yeah, this is their first family LSM coaster. So we actually have multiple LSM launches. Usually they use a tire-driven launch, and this thing's going to stay extremely low to the ground. This is another one. The track work is done, so I would expect this to open around maybe like April. And it looks great. What an awesome addition to Wallaby, Belgium.
We love timely openings.
Yes. Max speed, 40 miles per hour, just under 50 feet tall. But it's going to be a long ride.
It's going to make it feel fast.
Yes, absolutely.
That's going to be cool.
Over 3,000 feet of track. And it's going to revitalize that area. I'm really looking forward to this
I think it's going to be a sleeper hit.
I agree. Mm-hmm. Yet another year of having Palindrome in our most anticipated roller coasters list. But I think actually 2025 might be its year. So this is the new Gerstlauer Infinity Coaster. It is not a full complete circuit, but it's very creative with the layout. So it has a vertical lift hill, very, very steep drop, and then the rest of the layout is going to be a shuttle coaster where it ends in a spike and then you go back through it again backwards.
We sound like people who, end off their year and they're like, this year is going to be my year, and then they fall into the same bad habits as the year before.
Yeah.
Like, this year is its year.
The problem is, they have to wait for the park to be ready to open. The track work for this thing is complete, but there's still a lot that needs to be done to the surrounding area to get guests ready to go experience this thing. So I think that's what's holding them back.
I think it's going to be good, though.
Yes, it should be a good ride, yeah.
It's odd that it's probably going to open at the same time as Circuit Breaker, most likely.
Yeah, well, and we'll talk about that one a little later.
For number 18, we're actually going to head over to Russia, to a park that I don't really foresee us going to anytime in the coming future. However, they are opening up some really, really cool rides next year. The first one is going to be an Intamin Hot Racer clone of Mahuka, nameless at this time.
But we've heard great reviews of Mahuka, and this is going to be one of the first rides that'll be located outside. This is a largely indoor theme park. So it will help flesh out their lineup, and I think that it will be very, very well received among the people who are able to experience it. We do not have a confirmed opening date, though, so I could see this being one of those rides that actually ends up opening in 2026. But
I don't know.
We'll see.
We never know anymore. We're taking our best guess, you guys.
Speaking of taking our best guess, we ended up being wrong about this one last year, but Flash Vertical Velocity is supposed to open in 2025 at Six Flags Great Adventure, North America's first Vekoma Super Boomerang. The track work is done. We have seen it testing, so this is going to be an early 2025 opening. Honestly, if they want to get this open on opening day, they totally could.
I hope so. I mean, that's sort of been the Cedar Fairway, always and forever, and now that they're kind of more in charge than Six Flags, I imagine they'd push for that.
Yeah, I certainly hope so.
Yeah, but I'm very excited to ride this. I'm not excited for the lines that it's going to have.
One train, man. I don't know why they did that.
But more high-thrill Vekomas in the U.S. is always welcomed.
Yes.
For number 16, we have King's Dominion's long-awaited volcano replacement, Rapterra.
Yeah, speaking of rides that are going to be ready to go, this thing is also testing, and it's looking good. This is going to be a really exciting launched wing coaster, only the second in North America, so akin to Thunderbird at Holiday World, which is very well received.
Love that ride.
As a King's Dominion local, it's incredibly satisfying to see a brand new high thrill coaster there. I hope that it delivers. A little worried about how it's going to ride, but that's just B&Ms nowadays. But I still think, thematically, King's Dominion is really going to dress this up, so it should fit really well in their Jungle Expedition section.
And I think it's worth mentioning that we're not just, beating up on B&M just to be mean.
No.
But, it's just because they set a very high standard for themselves over the last, bajillion years at this point, and then they've kind of, backtracked.
Yeah.
That's the real thing.
It's
here.
a little disappointing because, frankly, if this thing ends up riding like Thunderbird does, being very, very smooth, then actually I would say our expectations are going to be exceeded. And when we end up doing our 2025 end of the year ranked video of all the new roller coasters, maybe this will actually end up placing higher. I hope so. I hope that all of these rides are well received.
Hi, future us.
Six Flags Qiddiya is the other big new theme park that we anticipate reopening in 2025. Personally, I think it would be an end-of-the-year thing, especially out in the Middle East. It is very, very hot in the summer, so this could easily end up being a December opening, but this might end up being a 2026 opening anyways.
I don't know anymore.
Regardless, they are opening up a very, very cool GCI wind roller coaster called Colossus.
I think it's going to be a fun ride, but I also am managing expectations because I am not like a huge fan of the new trains. Like they're okay, and that's what they're using. I love GCI, like period. Like some of their coasters are very high in my list. We have to wait and see because I haven't done a high thrill one with those trains.
You know, the park is claiming this is going to have like some of the most airtime on any roller coaster, which is very impressive because stats-wise, it's not anything crazy. It's under 100 feet tall, max speed 50 miles per hour, but it should be very fast-paced.
At number 14, we have Donkey Kong's Minecart Madness, which is a ride we thought we would have already ridden by now when we were in Japan, but alas, it was delayed, so now our first time riding one of these will be at Epic Universe.
Yeah, and I think the reason why this is placing so high is because the technology behind the attraction is incredibly unique. Basically,
so cool.
They're using this like boom system where you have the real track angled vertically like a couple feet underneath where the actual ride vehicle is. So these vehicles are small and it's going over a set of fake tracks so that you can do these track jumps. You can now see some of the actual footage from the attraction in Japan that is currently open. I have not heard any reviews, so I have no idea what to expect.
It looks awesome though.
It does, and I think it's going to be a tame ride experience.
Well, you're in it for the theming and the show aspect of it, you know?
Yeah, so there are definitely some rides that we've already talked about that will be more thrilling, for sure. At number 13, we have the highly anticipated replacement for an attraction that we really loved. In 2024, we got to experience Fantasiana's Wild Train.
Oh,
and
rest in peace.
We are so sad to see it go, but they're replacing it with a mock ride striker coaster called Helios.
For those of you who are unfamiliar, Voltron is a striker coaster, which is one of the best roller coasters in the world. So, if it follows suit, this should be one as well.
Yeah, well, and the thing is that we are not expecting it to be as long or as crazy as Voltron. The technology will be similar, but this is going to utilize a much smaller plot of land. But Fantasiana's being very creative about it. They are actually having the ride transition from the plot of land where Wild Train was over the front entrance. And that is going to be a very, very cool visual. And this is another attraction that has a lot of its track work done. So hopefully a spring opening.
This is just not a park that I ever imagined that I would go to twice.
But man, I'm going to want to.
We're gonna.
Yeah.
For number 12, we have Hiccup's Wing Gliders, which is bound to be one of the cutest Intamin coasters ever.
Yeah, I'm really excited for this. This is our third attraction from Epic Universe that is making this list. The brand new theme park in Orlando, Florida. And this is an Intamin multi-launch coaster. So I'm imagining something like Intamin's take on a Big Bear, you know? So it's like a little tamer from maybe Hagrid's, but still very creative elements and lots of thematics. This thing is currently testing, and it looks great.
Yeah, it's gonna have a big old Toothless in it, which is gonna be adorable.
Yeah, and long ride too. A lot of track just weaving throughout the Isle of Berk here in this How to Train Your Dragon Land.
Yeah, and Intamin's been like killing it with family coasters, so
yeah.
I am very, very excited for this.
I think the only reason it's not placing higher is because it is going to be family thrill. But
and we're grown-ups.
Yeah, but I'm going to love it. I know.
Yeah.
It's going to be good. Let's head back to Coda Land. Just barely missing the top 10 is Circuit Breaker. This thing is currently about halfway built as of when we're filming this video, and we hope that it opens in 2025. It was announced a couple of years ago at IAAPA. They said at the time it would be North America's first tilt coaster.
Whoops.
I think Siren's Curse is going to end up opening first, but we'll see. I think it's going to be a race.
They must be PO'd.
Oh,
at Cedar Point.
I think they got to be disappointed, right? But I think they had some like permitting issues,
yeah.
And the problem is that again, Coda Land is a brand new theme park that they're trying to like open up and be ready for like all this traffic. And Cedar Point is like well established. Yeah, they had a late start, but I think if they power through, I mean, we know that Siren's Curse won't be open on opening day.
They're going to work fast, though, after all the, bad PR and stuff.
I agree. So either way, you're going to be able to experience a Vekoma tilt coaster in the U.S., and we'll talk about Siren's Curse a little bit later. But Circuit Breaker should still be a lot of fun.
Now getting into our top 10, we have a roller coaster that will only be a second of its kind, and that is Twin Mill Racers, the Chance Hyper GTX coming to Mattel Park.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Lightning Run at Kentucky Kingdom, but this one's going to feel different. This has a launch and multiple inversions, which is something that Lightning Run does not feature. So this is going to be like really cool. This is a very large ride, and this is something that is also partially built. But again, they are waiting on the full park to be ready. I think they thought it was going to be open in 2024. We had it on last year's list, and I think this will open in 2025. And let's head back to Russia for one more roller coaster that we got to cover going to Dream Island. And this one is going to be really cool. It's good enough to make our top 10. This is Intamin's vertically launched roller coaster. We got to do one of these over in Dubai, Storm Coaster, but this is going to be a much more drawn out layout. Very long and thin, multiple inversions and airtime hills. This is going to be really cool. I just wish it was going to a park that wasn't in Russia.
Yeah, that's the thing, is like, we're including these on the list. Clearly, we are not exclusively talking about roller coasters that we think we're going to ride, because we are not going to Russia.
Yeah.
Duh. But I wish that it was somewhere else.
Well, and maybe they will. This might just be the first of many to come.
So if you frequently watch the channel, then you know that one of the ride models that we are the most psyched out of our minds about is the SNS Axis coaster. And in 2025, supposedly, we will be getting one.
Yeah, this is tricky because we don't know an official opening day. Again, we're waiting on the park. The location is called 7, and it is like a new FEC coming to Saudi Arabia. There will actually be multiple locations. This is the first one. It's going to be in Riyadh, and they are getting the first Axis coaster, which is going to have a launch. And it should be really, really cool. It'll go around twice.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be like the most thrilling thing ever, but it'll be really cool. And I think the reason that it's so exciting is because now there will be a legitimate full circuit coaster for people to check out to hopefully get big ones in the future.
Yeah. Riders will travel over multiple inversions through lots of different thematic elements. The ride vehicle has this very unique color scheme where depending on the lighting, it like changes colors. They're really going all out for this thing. And to my understanding, track work is completed. So this will really, like, when it opens, will be dependent on the actual like park itself. So could end up being 2025. I could see it being 2026 as well.
This is going to be fun next year, being like, how many of these were we wildly incorrect about?
Well, and that's the thing.
Stay tuned.
And about an hour down the road from that Axis location is Six Flags Qiddiya, and one of the big roller coasters they're getting is called Spitfire. This is an Intamin LSM launch coaster. It looks so cool. This
is like the mildly forgotten about other Intamin coaster, and I understand why, because there's a much bigger one being built like right next to it. But if this was at any other park other than Qiddiya, it would be like, holy cow, it's really big, you guys.
This thing is 240 feet tall, and it'll have the world's highest inversion, which is an inverted top hat. One of several different elements on this thing as you're going through this launch section forwards and backwards through a spike. It looks great.
Yes. I think this is going to be another little like sleeper because of the distractions around it.
Yeah, the other big one up there.
Yeah, we'll get there. We've made it to our number 6 spot, and don't worry, Canada, we did not forget about you. Alpen Fury!
Yeah, Canada's Wonderland is getting a new high thrill coaster, and it looks really cool. It's from Premier Rides. It's going to feature updated trains. It's going to blast out of Wonder Mountain. Everyone's like, this is the reincarnation of Volcano the Blast Coaster.
It literally is. It's kind of crazy. Like, I feel like they should have switched them, but
yeah, but now Kings Dominion doesn't have a mountain to deal with, so might as well take advantage of the one in Canada. But
heck yeah.
Height of 164 feet, over 70 miles per hour, and tons of inversions. Canada's Wonderland says 9, RCDB says 7. I don't know how many it is. I think it just depends on what you classify as an inversion, but regardless, it's a lot. This thing is currently a work in progress. They have a lot to do to bring this thing to life, so I could see this being maybe like a summer opening. We've made it to our top 5. Next up is another tilt coaster. This is the one going to Cedar Point. It's Siren's Curse. And I think the big reason why we have a noticeable gap between this and Circuit Breaker is Siren's Curse is actually a much larger tilt coaster. Circuit Breaker is actually relatively small.
Yeah, but it's still a tilt coaster. So it was going to get a good spot regardless. But Siren's Curse has been like kind of like a soap opera, right? Like watching it bounce around between all these different parks. Like, ooh, it's going here. Oh, just kidding. It's going here. And then it ends up at Cedar frickin' Point.
Who would have thought? I think if Top Thrill 2 had actually gone according to plan, then this probably would not be happening.
I just want to spend a day on the plane of existence where Top Thrill 2 went properly.
What would happen?
Yeah, like King Ka is still running, Siren's Curse is in Mexico, like everything's different, but...
Yeah, this thing's crazy, but it's going to be a really cool ride. I'm psyched for Cedar Point. I look forward to experiencing this thing when it opens, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Now, if you're getting bored of us talking about tilt coasters, tough luck, because our next spot is going to Iron Rattler. No, not the one at Fiesta. The one at Qiddiya.
The reason why this is our top tilt coaster of the 3 is because this is by far the largest. This is technically a hyper. It's over 200 feet tall, 208 to be exact, speeds of 73 miles per hour.
That is going to scare the bejesus out of me, being 200 feet looking straight down.
It's going to be crazy.
Especially if you're sitting in the back of the train, because that's where you're the highest.
Yeah, and
So,
over 4,000 feet of track. So there's a lot to this ride. Some really cool inversions. I can't wait for this ride. This
I can't either.
Six Flags Qiddiya has one heck of a lineup. Everyone's talking about the big one, but some of these other roller coasters look really good.
Mm-hmm.
Now in 2025, we are getting 2 really exciting dueling coasters opening up around the world. Our first is going to Walibi Holland and is a set of RMC Raptors. The first of its kind. We are getting a thrill side and a family side, and it's called Yoi! I don't know.
What is a Yoi? I don't know, but...
You jump for Yoi!
Sure! Yes, absolutely. Well, regardless of the name, it's going to be a really, really awesome set of coasters. So I am very curious where this leads to for RMC, because the idea of a family raptor is actually kind of a fun one.
It is. I'm really intrigued what that's going to feel like. I'm honestly more intrigued about the family side than the thrill side, but both sound good. The thrill side's going to have I think 6 inversions.
Yeah, and I am completely obsessed with the raptors. I will say though that because there's only 2 models out there essentially, it's become a little redundant, that I'm excited to see a fresh layout.
Yeah, well, and this is Joe Draves. This is going to be good. It's just under 100 feet tall, speeds of 51 miles per hour. Track work is done. The trains are on site. This is going to be a spring opening. I'm so stoked for this. This is going to be the second set of RMCs in the park after Untamed. So if you already didn't want to go to Walibi Holland, this is a great excuse to visit.
Yeah, can we just acknowledge really quick that we're going to have the 2 dueling RMC coasters with the same color scheme?
Yeah,
identical.
Twisted Colossus and Yoi. Yeah,
is this just a requirement
blue
if you
and
buy
green
from them? It has to be, but it's even the same shade of blue.
I know, it's a little weird. And also,
green.
Goliath
crazy.
next door is also blue.
Different shade of blue though.
It's pretty close though.
At the number 2 spot, we have the other dueling coaster that we were referring to, and that would be Stardust Racers coming to Epic Universe.
Yeah, I think this is the most anticipated set of roller coasters to open up in the United States in 2025.
Yeah.
Really, really exciting project from Mach Rides. So these rides are completely intertwined with each other. 133 feet tall, max speed 62 miles per hour. Multiple launches, some really cool inversions that it's just they're rolling around each other. It is the spiritual successor of Dueling Dragons, because Universal had an incredible pair of dueling B&M inverts, and they took it out for Hagrid's. People were like, oh man, that dueling coaster was awesome. So they're like, well, we'll try again with this ride over at Epic Universe. They're probably going to have lockers and no loose articles to make sure that there's no issues, but this will duel in theory every single time.
That's incredible. I can't wait. Can't wait.
But it does not compare to our number 1 coaster that, frankly, if you've been following this project, you should not be surprised that it's taking the number 1 spot. We are talking about the world's tallest, the world's longest, and the world's fastest roller coaster, Falcon's Flight at Six Flags Qiddiya.
Can I add world's most deranged?
The world's most messed up. I can't believe that this even exists and that we're talking about it and it's happening.
Yeah, so this was on a lot of people's radar of hey, this massive coaster is getting built in Saudi Arabia. But nobody really had a grasp on just how big it was going to be. Before this, the tallest roller coaster in the world maxed out at 456 feet, which is already insane. And Intamin/Saudi Arabia said, well, we could just bypass the 500s and just go straight to the 600s.
This is the world's first Exa coaster. It will dive off the cliff with a 600-foot terrain difference, and then it will go over a 500-plus foot tall airtime hill. That airtime hill will be taller than King Dakar.
That's how I feel about it.
And over 13,000 feet of track. This is going to be an extremely long ride. The first section, before you even go up on the cliff, is going to feel like Conda at Walibi, Belgium. And then you're going to be doing an outer bank over the cliff and diving off of it, accelerating downwards to make it over this top hat. It is madness. And Intamin completed construction of it. So regardless of what happens next, that is an incredible feat of engineering.
Absolutely. I don't even know how to find the right words to talk about this thing, because it's just so far-fetched and it's a weird fever dream that it's even happening. I have to say, though, this is kind of going to end any kind of coaster war that there still is about trying to break records. Good luck. You're gonna have to find some niche record, because ain't nobody building something like that anywhere else.
Before, you had a separate ride for the world's tallest, a separate ride for the world's longest, and the world's fastest. I mean, this is just packed into one record. Saudi said, we want to have the roller coaster, like the ultimate bragging rights to help draw tourism to that area. And Six Flags Qiddiya is a statement piece. This ride is so big, it's going to have a 9-month commissioning process. Unbelievable.
So, like we said, it's possible it doesn't open in 2025, which in that case, spoiler alert, this will probably be number 1 for the next one as well.
Yeah,
if that
exactly.
happens.
But I think they will try and have this ride open when they open up Six Flags Qiddiya. So I think it is really dependent on the rest of the project, because they need to have proper roads in place. They need to have the park fully staffed and like all the other attractions like ready to go in order to open this thing up. But Falcon's Flight seems on track for like that targeted opening that they have. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. But that ride is ridiculous in every sense of the word. So there you go. Our most anticipated new for 2025 roller coasters. Couple honorable mentions, some of the things that didn't make the cut. We have to look forward to Georgia Surfer at Six Flags Over Georgia.
Oh, yeah.
Was supposed to happen in 2024, but did not. How about the new Big Bad Wolf going to Busch Gardens Williamsburg?
Yeah, I hope it rides a bit better than Phoenix Rising. It's a lot bigger.
Yep. There's a new water coaster going to Six Flags Qiddiya. Bone Shaker is the new family coaster going to Mattel Adventure Park.
Ooh, my homeland of the Jersey Shore. We're getting a Skyrocket too at a pier park, Steel Pier.
Yep.
That'll be great.
We're getting 2 smaller GCIs over in Europe, one in France and one in Spain. So those should be cute family rides. And also really cool indoor Vekoma over in Poland at a place called Mandoria. So that should be really interesting. So there's a lot of really cool, fascinating projects coming out in 2025.
We're going to be busy.
Absolutely. So let us know down in the comments below, what are you most looking forward to in 2025? What are your most anticipated attractions? Do you agree with this list? You can post all that down below. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We appreciate it. Make sure to stay tuned for many more exciting videos coming soon in 2025. And we'll see you then.